Hi everyone, it's Nicole and I have another layout using the March Scraptastic kit, and this is the 9th layout. I actually posted the 10th layout before the 9th layout because of National Scrapbook Day, and so this one I'm going to use some leftover papers, and I wanted this layout to be yellow and black and white, and that was it. And I'm going to take that basil pattern paper and I'm going to use it as my background. And I wanted to use some of my Hero, no, it's Simon Says Stamps stamp set. And I thought maybe that I wanted to stamp the whole background with hearts. So I'm testing to see which color would look better. And then I'm also trying like a Versamark. And I found the Versamark wasn't, didn't stand out enough. And now I'm going to, I think I chose the Butter Bar is the color that I chose. And I'm going to start stamping away. And I'm just showing you the ones that, one kind of just faded in the background and the other one was more prominent on the background. So I decided on that one. And I was going to do basically like a background with it. And I'm going to do a row of it and I'm not going to like it at all. So I'm going to forget the whole thing and I'm going to flip the pattern paper over and I'm going to start again. And that's, or not the pattern paper, the cardstock. And that's the great thing about cardstock is you don't like it, you flip it over and you just start over. So that piece of pattern paper, that was the size that it was in. And I'm going to glue it right to the left of the page there. And I believe I'm going to ink the sides of the pattern paper. I'm going to use some of those Amy Tangerine's thickers, and I'm going to use the word wonder. At first I thought I was going to use Here We Go, and then I decided no, I'm going to use wonder. I kind of like that because they're all kind of facing Niagara Falls and it's almost like they're pondering, so it's gonna decide my whole how I'm going to treat this page. Now I bought these cork little sheets, 6x6 sheets, and I'm pretty sure it's with die cuts with a view, and I got them at Simon Says Stamps, and they are just perfect. They are thin, and so you can stamp on it, punch with it, or you can use your scissors. I just showed you I went into my stash and went for my 12x12 Amy Tangerine +1 pattern paper pad because I wanted another sheet of that heart pattern paper because I wanted to cut out some of the hearts so that they will look dimensional, and I had no pattern paper left from this sheet. That was it. So I'm going to go through, and as I flip through it, I'm going to see other stuff that I want. So there's little 4x6 cards or 3x4 cards. I'm going to pull a few of them out. And then I'm also going to pull out a sheet of all little cameras. And now I'm just going to keep it with, my stuff, and I'll be able to use it. So what I decided to do, instead of stamping the whole background, I'm going to stamp on cork, and I'm going to try this ink that I have, but I don't know if I need to re-ink the pad, but it just wasn't wet enough, I guess, and I didn't like the way the powder kind of melted on the cork with that ink. So then I'm going to go and get my Versamark, and I'm going to do it with that, and I like it a whole lot more. And what you need to do is, because it's cork, so it'll scorch it, so you kind of have to really move your heat gun back and forth kind of fast so that you don't burn your cork. But if you're really careful and don't go too close And what I did was I kind of started off my heat gun off to the side and let it warm up really hot so that I wouldn't have to hold it on the cork for, an extra length of time. And it worked really well. And then I used some Zing powder from American Crafts in yellow. And I ended up stamping 3 of them. And what I have is a little tray, and I bought that tray years ago from Stampin' Up, and it's just a powder tray so that you can pour your powder into it, and then it has a little funnel at the end, and then you can put your powder back in the bottle. I also wanted to stamp out some stamp in black ink, but I don't end up using them on this layout, but I know I'll use them on another layout sometime. Now I want to use that 3x4 card, or maybe it's 4x6. It was 4x6, and I'm going to end up cutting it down so that it fits to the size that I want. And now I'm looking for papers to mat my photo, and then I'm going to cut out 3 hearts, 2 in the black and 1 in the yellow, from that extra pattern paper. And then I'm going to put some foam tape in behind, and I'm going to lift up 3 of the little hearts just so that there's a little bit of extra texture on that side of the page. I had stepped away for a few seconds to grab a piece of black cardstock, and that's what I'm going to mount my photo on. And I'm just going to leave about 1/8 of an inch all the way around the photo. And it was kind of crooked, so I just moved it over and did it again. So this was the 9th layout I did using this kit, and it took me 1 hour and 13 minutes to complete. I'm going to use that pattern paper again from the Amy Tangerine +1 collection. It's all cameras, and I just cut a chunk of that pattern paper, and I'm going to use it on this layout. Right now I kind of have the cameras to the right and the other pattern papers to the left, and I'm going to move it over because that pattern paper with the flowers on it kind of gets lost on the left side. I tried to put that black pattern paper with the plus signs, but that pattern paper is not going to make it on the layout. I'm just going to keep the camera, that 4x6 card that looks like kind of scratch marks, I guess, and then the flower, and then a 4x6 card that's a camera I'm going to cut it down to fit. And I took some distress ink in black soot, and I distressed all the pattern papers that I'm going to use. And now I'm just going to rebuild it, and it's going to be in a total different totally different than when I had it when I first put it together. And I just finished a night shift, so if I am lost for words, I apologize. My brain is just not working very well. So I took one of those branding strips and I put it to beside the hearts, and then I took a washi tape that was in my stash, and it has numbers on it, and I just thought it was perfect for a picture with my daughter with her cheerleading friends, because cheerleading is all about count. The whole routine, they're always counting. And so I thought it was a perfect washi tape for that. And now I'm deciding where the cluster is going to, sit on the page. And I found that 4x6 card was just too big. So I cut it down so that you just see the camera and just a little bit on each side. And now I have another card that I cut out from one of the pattern papers, and it just says click click, and that's where the subtitle is. I'm going to put my subtitle on that little card, and I'm just looking into with the die cuts, because what I had done was I had put a whole bunch of die cuts and pattern papers with these pictures. Well, now I'm going through everything and trying to see what exactly is going to make it onto this page. Now there's going to be 3 major clusters, and then there's also going to be 3 little hearts that I'm going to pop up on pop dots and or foam tape, and then I'm going to put a little camera that I'm going to cut out from that Amy Tangerine pattern paper. I thought maybe I would use that camera, but then it was like camera with camera, so I decided to stick with that little block, the 3x3 die cut with the yellow. So I'm just trying to decide where those cork hearts are gonna end up. And I'm going to make a little cluster to the bottom right of the layout. I'm going to put the title right there to the side of the photo, and then I'm going to put a cluster at just beside it. And the cluster is going to be started with, with a cork heart. And then at this point, I'm going to start, putting the layout together. I already put down the main element on my page, which is the big cluster of photo, or the photo with all the layers of pattern paper. And now I'm going to start putting down my embellishment. And again, where I did ink up all the edges of the pattern paper, I'm also going to ink up all the embellishments. And actually, the yellow heart, when I had used the black soot on it, I didn't like it at all. So I ended up cutting another yellow heart, and I didn't ink the edges just because I found it didn't look good at all, and I liked the cleaner look for it. And I'm going to figure out where the other 2 hearts are going to be that are popped up on Stampin' Up! Dimensionals. But the rest of the embellishments, I am going to use some black soot. I just found with the yellow heart, it looked dirty. Not distressed, it just looked dirty. So I'm going to put some foam tape in behind that little 3x3 card. And I don't like the cards to kind of sag in the middle, so I make sure that I put a ton of foam tape. And I have a huge roll, and I actually have a second roll, so I don't worry about the amount of foam tape that I'm using. And I'm trying to decide if the cork heart is going to be to the right or the left, and I decide to the left of that little cluster. And now I'm going to glue down my title down the right side of the photo. And now I'm going to work on my subtitle, and I'm using, is that the Tim Holtz, or is that Teresa Collins? I think that was the Tim Holtz little letters, and then I'm using sticky keys in the yellow. And the subtitle is, so the title is Wonder, and then the subtitle is What Tomorrow Will Bring. And it takes me a few seconds to kind of get all the little letters and everything kind of planned out where I want it to be. And I love those little Tim Holtz letters, and I'm so glad that Teresa Collins also has a couple of them too. I just wish they would make them in different colors, like in teal and aqua, and the popular colors, I guess. So now I had put it on wax paper, and now that I know how the words are gonna sit on that square, I'm gonna secure it down. That's what I like about the wax paper, is that you can kind of play with it and try to figure out where it's going to go without having to lift your letter, know, 500 times. So now I'm going to cut out 3 little cameras. No, 5 little cameras, 6 little cameras. And I'm going to put 3 of them on the hearts that I popped up, and then the other 3 I put it with each of the clusters. And I love doing that. I love cutting stuff out of the pattern papers if it has anything, any motif like that, like the hearts, the cameras, arrows. Last time it was airplanes. So again, I'm going to take an evening while me and my husband are sitting down and watching, a TV show or something, or while I'm waiting for the battery to charge up again. I'm going to sit down and cut all these little cameras out. So when I'm actually scrapping, I don't have to take the time and cut these out. I'd rather have them all in a little baggie or in a little container. And when I'm ready to scrapbook, I don't have to stop and detail cut all these things out. So I'm still going through some of these die cuts to see which ones are going to make it on this page. And I like the one that says my story, because it kind of goes with what tomorrow will bring. And there's another one, little circle one, it just says you make me smile. And then I'm also going to put some washi tape, that same washi tape, in each of the cluster areas. And what I did was, on the cluster ones, I just made sure that number 9 wasn't on there, because they usually count from, not usually, they count from 1 to 8. And so I just kind of took the 9 away. The only place I didn't take it away was in the long strip, because I figured that would have been too much of a pain. So some stuff was hanging over, so I'm just flipping the pattern over and then cutting the things off. Now I'm going to take out the enamel dots that I made using perler beads, and I'm going to take out some yellow and some black ones. I'm going to add them to each of the cluster. And then I took out some twine in black and white and added it to each of the clusters. But the battery's going to die, so you're not going to see that part. But that's the only thing I added was twine. And here are some close-ups of every little cluster area. And if you want to see more close-ups, you can join me on Facebook. The link is in the description. On Twitter, Instagram, Scraptastic, their Facebook group, if you're a member, or their website at Cherry on Top, or 2 Peas in a Bucket. I think that's it. So that's it. The page is done. So thanks for watching. Bye.